Hey Libra, welcome to a random tarot card reading where I am going to be looking at your life through the lens of Greek mythology using a Greek mythology tarot deck. This is fascinating to me. Right off the bat here, we've got the story of Paris in the reversal. We've got Eros. We're talking about love. Oh my goodness. So in a random reading, it could be anything from education to love to travel to your job that you're searching for. But we're getting a massive concept of love and passion, but fear of failure in the department of love coming up because we have Paris. If you know the story of Paris in Greek mythology, he chose a woman named Helen and it started the entire Trojan War. And we have Eros specifically connected to seduction and love and lust, and Lamia, a card of insanity and overthinking, obsessiveness when it comes to seduction and lust and love. A very unique story that comes out of that as well. Let me pull one more card here to lay this all out. I wanted to do a random, wow, such abundance in the celebration for you. I wanted to do a random reading because, quite frankly, on my TikTok, I've already done your full April reading in life and love, looking at every single week for the month of April. We haven't even got into the month of April yet. So because I have already done this, I figured why not do a random reading with a Greek mythology tarot deck? And here we have it. So let's get into it. This amazingly intricate energy showing up for you. Meshes of the fear of failure, insanity that's going on in your mind, love, passion, lust, you name it, celebration, abundance. It's come out in this reading. Let me just plug my phone in here for a quick second because my battery just went down to 5%. Oh, now my charger is kind of dragging my phone here. I'll see if I can adjust this. Yes, no, maybe so. See my camera moving slightly? That's my cord pulling at it. All right, let's start off with that story of Paris, like I was saying. Looking at this card here. Paris was offered to take a wife for his own. And in the traditions that we would see on the TV, if we were watching things like Troy, we might view this as a man just falling in love with a woman, but I believe it was actually, I think it was Andromeda. It might have been Andromeda or Athena. Oh, I'll have to think about this one for a second. Who offered Helen to Paris. Offered a few different women to Paris. And Paris saw Helen of Troy and was like, oh, I'm taking Helen of Troy. But Helen of Troy was already, given to the leader of Troy at the time. But that didn't bother either one of them. They went off together. And it caused the war, the war that Achilles died in. So this is a card of recklessness and consequence. And it's in the reversal position where in the upright, the card of Paris would talk about passions like the ones he had for Helen, but in the reversal, this becomes that card of consequence and daring and recklessness. It's also a card of a temporary situation, though, by the way. I want to say that. So because we've got so much cards showing up of insanity, overthinking, seduction 1, seduction 2, we have 2 cards of seduction here. There may have been a point in time where you were dealing with someone where you felt this pull of seduction. You felt this pull of lust or this desire to have fun, even with a particular person, but it was temporary. It didn't necessarily leave off to something. It didn't turn into that love dynamic that you were looking for. Instead, with Lamia, it became this thought of overthinking about the loss that you took on this. It feels like it's driving you nuts. That's what this character is. She's a fantastic character. Also dealing with love, right? It was love and loss for the Lamia character. She certainly didn't get the abundance that she had so wished in the end with her lover. And because of that, she became insane over the situation, obsessive over the situation. And it's fascinating to see that show up, but it's a direct representative in your reading that either you or your person, or potentially both of you. Oh, my son is so loud downstairs. potentially both of you, because we've got the duality of the rumination and anxiety and obsessiveness coming out with Phobos and Deimos. That both of you may be overthinking this, and both of you and a partner that you were dealing with that you wanted to lift something off with, the two of you are afraid on both ends that it wasn't going to work. I feel like you could have pulled back, or this person could have pulled back, but whoever pulled back may not have realized that both of you thought that this was going to fail for some reason, but both of you are the ones sitting in the energy of seduction and wantingness of each other. There's so much insanity between you and another person here. There's so much overthinking and obsession and rumination and fear of failure and being caught up in your head, but so much cards at the same time of the fact that you guys desire each other and have lust for each other and wantingness to experience the seduction between each other and wanting this to have concepts of love with one another. I mean, bringing back to that, bringing back to that story of Paris, by the way, it was, you know how I said, was it Athena? Was it Aphrodite? It was a combination. It was Athena, the goddess Athena. It was the goddess Aphrodite and one other goddess who actually competed and tried to bribe Paris. But Paris took Aphrodite's bribery. And she said, Aphrodite, the goddess, what people say of beauty and love and etc., etc., she said to Paris, if you do my bidding, I will give you the most beautiful woman in the world. And Paris agreed. And that is what caused the Trojan War. So in the story of Paris itself, there's also competition. I bring this up because, yes, there's this idea of like wanting to love on someone, but there's absolute competition that comes with the Paris card because those goddesses were competing against each other. Even Hera was the other one who was competing with Aphrodite, all three of them, to win over the decision of Paris. But remember, Helen of Troy was connected into Menelaus. He was the king of Sparta at the time. And so even his entire story, Paris was competing with that king. So whether you have the goddesses competing for the favor of Paris, or you have Paris competing with the king of Sparta, the whole thing talks about the idea of jealousy and persuasion and competition. So I feel like somebody in this, because we've got Phobos and Deimos here, talking about the fears of failure and this overthinking, I feel like somebody was jealous. I think that either you or your person, one of the reasons why you thought there was a fear of failure is because I think it could be your person. I think your person, it could be you, but let's start off with talking about your person here. They may have thought that you had somebody else on the side. They may have thought that you were not interested in them fully. And so they thought that it was destined to be a fear of failure. That's an unfortunate circumstance because I haven't mentioned it yet, but with Cleo and Tyche, you guys actually have great abundance and celebration in the future between the two of you. Whoever this is an absolute reading about abundance and things changing in your favor regarding this circumstance. But for now, y'all think it's not going to work. It's just fascinating. You know, another reason why I see a lot of jealousy and envy is this Lamia card. The story of Lamia is that she was the lover of Zeus, but Zeus was already with Hera, and Hera became so enraged that Lamia's children were done off by Hera at her instruction, and she dealt with such sorrow and pain and obsessive anxiety and insanity over the loss of her children that it drove her into the energies, along with this curse that Hera put on her, to become a monster. That's why she's half woman. She was the queen of Libya. That's the story of Lamia to some degree. And this queen of Libya, after the loss of her children, so in this case, we don't have to talk about loss of your children, but in the story, it can talk about loss in general, which is why the word loss is written on the bottom of this card. So in general, the relationship loss has driven you nuts. It could also be the kind of circumstance that causes nightmares, because in the traditions of Zeus with Lamia, Zeus, to try and give Lamia some like respite from her insanity and her frustrations and her nightmares, Zeus actually permits her to remove her eyes so that she can no longer have nightmares of the loss of her children. There's a reason why this card looks as eerie as it does, is because it is a true format of overthinking and feeling nightmares and just devastation, but merged in with the story of the competition between Lamia and Hera. Again, great jealousy going on between the two. So I that's two cards here that are talking about this. And again, Eros is connected specifically to love and passionate experiences with his lover, Psyche. So we've got 3 of those cards coming up, all about relationships. Sometimes in readings here, I will get concepts of family or business, money. No, this is a love reading and the insanity that can happen in love. Uniquely, though, in this card here of Eros, the story of Eros and Psyche is that, or Psyche, Greek accent, right? She was so beautiful, Psyche, that Aphrodite suddenly was losing worshipers because she was so beautiful. And so she sent her son, Eros, to try to convince Psyche to fall in love with some monstrosity. Instead, Eros falls in love with her. But there's this unique concept where Eros is not supposed to reveal. He has to keep hidden, essentially, from Psyche figuring out that it is Eros. And that doesn't work out in the end. In the end, he falls in love, and he's got to reveal himself, and it becomes this whole debacle. But because it's about him trying to keep hidden, because his mother was essentially setting this entire scene up, trying to take Psyche and her beauty and cause a catastrophe that didn't work out. There's an element, yes, of passion and lust and desire in this card, but there's an element of someone keeping something like hidden. And I think I can also see that concept with Phobos and Deimos showing up in this reading. Because with Phobos and Deimos, these were the twin sons of Ares, the god of war. And they would go before him. When he was on his chariot, Ares, Phobos and Deimos would go forward, and they would cause absolute unnerving, unsettling fear, usually unraveling the things that were hidden in the minds of people. And so we've got 2 cards kind of sitting with that hidden aspect showing up. So I feel like one of you 2, or maybe both of you, are hiding how you feel about each other. And I think it's both of you, because there's a lot of duality coming out of this. Not only do we have the cards of the twins, but we've got 2 cards of celebration and abundance coming up. I haven't even spoken about those yet, because the story ingrained in the cards that you have is so fascinating, Libra. What? This fear, I feel like this person, someone is keeping hidden just how afraid they were of this situation. And I think they're also keeping it hidden that they care. And I think that because they don't know that this can end positively, they would rather keep themselves hidden. They want to keep these feelings hidden. And because they'd rather focus on that area, they don't realize that there is abundance and chance and luck and fortune that's about to turn around for them with this relationship. Like greatness, a great celebration can be had with this relationship. But what it requires them to take the deeds, to take the steps, and to take the effort forward. Either through you taking steps forward, or them taking steps forward to pull them out of this fear concept. And they will, or you will, or both of you will. Because you've got 2 cards of celebration and abundance with this. You don't just have a little bit of a good thing coming here. In love, you have an abundance. This is the card of plenty of love energy. You know what? Also, with the card of documentation showing up here, it may very well happen in the format of something written, like messages that come in, communications that could come in via text messages, email, Facebook, things like that, because she is connected to documentation of paperwork. She is about that moment of celebration that happens where you actively proclaim out, because that's what they used to do in Greek mythology. When someone won a victory, it wasn't just somebody sitting at a table and telling their buddy. They actually made it a declaration. They made it a proclamation that some kind of a situation had happened, like a notification system. So you might find that at some point in the future, it's like the element of surprise, though. It is luck, it is chance, and it is sudden fortune that happens. You won't see it coming, so it might not happen necessarily soon, but it'll happen unexpectedly. And when it does, it's like wham! It's like holy, and it spins the entire situation on its head for the better of celebration and abundance. You guys have absolute love in your future at some point. Please feel free to come back to me in the future when this happens and comment under my video and let me know how it goes, because the story is amazing and I am here for it. I'm going to leave you guys off with that. Many blessings to you. If you want to check out the month of April, it's on my TikTok. If you love the historical way that I read tarot, whether it's Christian mysticism, Gnosticism, Arthur Edward Waite's, Rider-Waite-Smith deck, or a little bit of Greek mythology, feel free to get a hold of me at the link in my bio. I have any 2 questions for $20. That's one of the favorite readings that I have for people, and you're more than welcome to check that out and get a hold of me for a private reading. Many blessings to you, Libra. I will talk to you later, and ciao for now.